Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City USA, a safe and trusted community where you can find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond, accessible to all who reach for the stars.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's exciting to see that video. We're actually hosting this event tonight on the STEM City platform, and hopefully everyone got a chance to explore it and see a bit of what they have built. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Welcome to the Fall 2021 GBeta MedTech Pitch Night. Today, we're going to be celebrating 5 founders that were selected for the first GBeta MedTech Black Founder Accelerator. And we hope that you guys enjoy it. So I hope that you're ready to hear 5 awesome pitches. You will not only learn about the innovative technologies that these founders are bringing to market to transform the healthcare industry, but you'll also hear about their inspiring stories and why they want to bring these technologies to market. My name is Jackie Mejia, and I'm the director of the GBeta MedTech program. And I've been running this program with Megan Baniak, who is the GBeta St. Thomas director. It's been a great experience to work with these founders for the past 7 weeks. But before we hear from our companies, I want to give an overview of who we are and what we do at Generator. So Generator's mission is to be the best partner for a community to invest in its best and brightest. And we do this by creating programming that connects startups, entrepreneurs, artists, mentors, investors, universities, and corporations. And one type of programming that we offer are the GBeta programs. So GBeta is a free 7-week accelerator offered to 5 early stage companies per program. GBeta runs in more than 20 markets throughout the country and also has industry-specific programs, like, for example, GBeta Music Tech, the GBeta Social Impact Program, and the GBeta MedTech program. And to date, we have had 644 companies complete our GBeta programs. And together they have gone on to raise $295 million, which is really amazing. But to be a little bit more specific, Generator recognizes Minnesota's remarkable reputation when it comes to healthcare innovation. And this is why we created the GBeta MedTech program, an accelerator that works with early stage startups in the healthcare sector. And so far, we have had 7 programs. We have worked with 38 companies, and together they have gone on to raise more than $47 million and created more than 177 jobs. And today we're making history by celebrating the culmination of the first GBeta MedTech Black Founder Accelerator. And this is all thanks to our sponsors. So earlier this year, our founding sponsor, which is Boston Scientific, decided to finance another GBeta MedTech program, but for Black founders specifically. At Generator, diversity, equity, and inclusion are part of our core values. And so we were very excited to support this initiative to support the underrepresented entrepreneurs in the healthcare space. And our main sponsor, which is BARDA, the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, was on board with this initiative as well and offered additional financial support to make this happen. We also received support from new sponsors like Piper Sandler, Inflect Health, and Fox Rothschild. And so overall, for this program, we were not only able to run the program, but for the first time, we were able to offer each team $34,000 in non-dilutive funding to support their businesses. We're also thankful to our supporting partners, Mayo Clinic, the Medical Alley Association, and the University of Minnesota, who continue to mentor the entrepreneurs that we work with and continue to offer their support. Without them, we wouldn't be able to run this program. I also want to thank today the mentors, speakers, and investors that participated in our program. I know this is not everyone, but your feedback and your guidance have been immensely helpful to us and to the founders. And I want to particularly thank you for opening up your networks and connecting the founders with other individuals that you think can be helpful. So again, Without you, we wouldn't be able to run this program. Expanding the Founders Network and making sure that they meet with the right people is a big part of what we do. And so before we move on to pitches, I would like you to hear from some of our sponsors. So up first, I would like to invite Sandeep Patel to say a few words about BARDA Drive and their involvement with the GBeta MedTech program. Sandeep, if you can come online, please, and say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. Hey, everyone. Good evening. My name is Sandeep Patel. I am the director of the Division Research Innovation Ventures, or DRIVE, which is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Biomedical Advanced Research Development Authority, or BARDA. It's a mouthful, but our role is to develop life-saving, medical countermeasures, things like vaccines, therapies, diagnostics for supporting health preparedness against things like pandemics or other health emergencies. And our role at DRIVE specifically is to invest in the world's most promising technologies into the future, and specifically to be very inclusive in terms of the kinds of solutions we develop, and inclusive about who we partner with. And so we're really excited and really proud to partner, having a longstanding partnership with Generator, but also more specifically to support the GBeta MedTech Black Founders cohort here. We recognize that there's a lot of unmet needs across the landscape, and and we're really excited to hear from the incredible founders that we're going to hear from tonight. So just wanted to thank everyone involved, and looking forward to hearing everything. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. And Generator, we partnered with UEL, University Enterprise Labs, and as a team, we received support from BARDA Drive. And being part of the BARDA Drive Accelerator Network has been very, very beneficial. We appreciate all of your support. You also said something that's very important. It's really hard to fundraise. It's really hard to founders to find the right support. So this is important, bringing this type of opportunities to founders. We recognize that this program is a very small step towards supporting more underrepresented founders in healthcare. And we really greatly appreciate BARDA's support, in addition to our other sponsors like Boston Scientific, who took the first step in this initiative. So this team at Boston Scientific has provided much more than financial support. They have connected our founders with experienced serial entrepreneurs. They have connected them with key stakeholders, have provided feedback to them, and they really provided the environment that the founders needed to feel even more confident about taking their technologies to the next level. So at this time, I would like to invite Brian Clark from Boston Scientific to say a few words about the program and their support, if you're online.
I'm on. Can you hear me, Jackie?
Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you. I'm Brian Clark, Senior Manager in Global Technology Partnerships at Boston Scientific, where we've been a founding sponsor of GBeta MedTech for a number of years. And it's been a real pleasure working with Jackie, the Generator team, and the other sponsors over the past several weeks on the current program. So at Boston Scientific, we are dedicated to transforming lives through innovative medical solutions that improve the health of patients around the world. And we recognize that it takes an ecosystem of innovative minds and deep collaboration to tackle difficult challenges in healthcare. Soon, you'll hear from 5 innovative entrepreneurs seeking to address some of those challenges. I hope everyone enjoys the pitches, and I encourage us all to seek ways to help these entrepreneurs and others in our ecosystem. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jackie, the Generator crew, all the mentors, all of the sponsors, and the startups for their work over this the past several weeks on this important program. And certainly thank you, STEM City team, for hosting this event. Thanks, Jackie.
All right, Brian, thank you so much. And again, thank you for taking the first step to making this event or this program happen. It really wouldn't have happened without this initiative coming from Boston Scientific. And the support from the Boston Scientific team, as I mentioned before, it really has been remarkable, like always. And so, going back to challenges, raising money early stage startup is very, very challenging, regardless of your background or what you look like. However, we do recognize that for underrepresented founders, it is even more challenging. And we hope that with this program, we can help fill that gap in the fundraising process, even if it's just a little bit. But before we move on to the pitches, the team at Inflect Health has also been very supportive. Without sponsors like them, we wouldn't be able to offer these types of opportunities to entrepreneurs. And so at this time, I would like to invite Bart Emery to say a few words. Bart, if you're
Thank you,
online.
Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. I'm Bart Emery. I'm the Corporate Venture Manager for Inflect Health. We're a 2-year-old corporate venture and innovation arm of a national provider group, Vituity. I'm here with my investor colleague, Helen Abad, who I want to thank for helping with our support of the program. We're really proud of the program, and I'd like to thank Jackie and the whole Generator team for putting on a fantastic accelerator, as always. It's a ton of work, and really no one does it as well as you, so thank you. And I'd also like to thank the other sponsors, especially Boston Scientific and BARDA, who put so much more than money into the program. And thank you for the teams, for dedicating part of your lives to solving some of the most challenging issues in healthcare, which we know is, a fairly dysfunctional industry. Your work is making a real difference, so please keep at it. And I really look forward to seeing your success.
Oh, thanks again, Bart, for those kind words. And I know that you've engaged with the founders many times, and again, your support is very valuable. So once again, thanks to all of our sponsors and supporters. I really, really hope that we can continue to offer these types of opportunities moving forward. So if this is something that your organization can support, please reach out to me. Let's figure out how to work together. Let's figure out how to make change in the healthcare industry. Let's figure out how to support underrepresented founders and really revolutionize this space. Okay, so these are the founders that we've been working with these past 7 weeks. And what these founders are doing is not easy, but they are all passionate about improving healthcare. And after spending almost 7 weeks with them, I am confident that they will be successful. So first, I want to congratulate every single one of the founders, every single one of the 5 companies for successfully participating in our program. Working with you has taught me a lot of things, and it has been a great pleasure. But now let's move on to the show, what you guys came here to hear. All right, so tonight you will hear from 5 extraordinary founders. After each pitch, we will do a short Q&A. So please, please, please engage in the chat. Feel free to ask questions for each of the teams that are presenting. We'll have 4 minutes for Q&A, so the more questions we have, the better. And I want to point out that the 5 companies that you'll be hearing from today are Bolt Health, True Diary, Delve Health, BTech, and Quartolio. And once the 5 pitches are over, we will go into a networking session. So please keep in mind that these 5 presentations are designed to capture your curiosity. You should be left with wanting to ask questions, wanting to learn more, wanting to meet these founders, maybe even wanting to write a check and invest in these teams. And if you do want to learn more, you can meet the founders after the pitches are over. We will have a networking session. So each founder will have their own breakout room, and you can go in and chat with them to learn more about what they're doing. The networking session will start roughly around 5:20 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so it is my pleasure to introduce the first presenter of tonight, Elena Musetea, a co-founder and CEO of Bolt Health. Elena founded Bolt Health with Dr. Josie Onwude, and they have both been working hard to deliver an integrative care solution to the 250 million people in the US who suffer from GI dysfunction. We believe that this patient-doctor team will fulfill the unmet need in GI care. So Elena, whenever you're ready, if you can please come online, turn on your microphone and camera, and take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank the entire GBETA team and the sponsors for having us. We had a great time, and it's been a truly helpful program. Appreciate everybody's mentorship and time with us. So we're Bolt Health, and we are a specialty care provider for gastrointestinal conditions. I am going to try to click through. Not yet. All right, thank you.
So Elena, before you get started, you have to click the pause button, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to go through automatically, and
Right.
just use the arrows, or you can use your keyboard if you hit the center of the screen.
Brilliant. Sounds great. Thank you. So at Bolt Health, we started this journey together with the desire to serve the unmet need in gut health. Both of us co-founders have been on our own journey of gut dysfunction. I grew up with GI symptoms and saw them in my family. And as I went through my career working in strategy consulting, investment banking, venture capital, where I was investing in digital health, I saw a number of companies doing innovation in digital health in other vertical areas like diabetes or musculoskeletal, but there was very little serving gut health. And we know for this area, patients get very little support with lifestyle, with nutrition and stress management that are real impacts to living with them. So I came together with Josyon. With unfortunately, he's sick and cannot be here, but he comes from medical practice and brings in the standard of best standard of care and clinical guidelines to serve patients the best. And he's done a number of startups in digital health, leading our product development. So together we made it our mission to improve the gut health of 1 billion people around the world by providing convenient access to comprehensive specialty care and leveraging digital to improve care with data as well. And we're not the only ones experiencing these conditions. Over 70% of American population have GI symptoms. And in fact, abdominal pain is the #1 cause of ER visits, according to the CDC. As an experience for the patients living with GI issues, they also tend to have high level of comorbidity with depression, anxiety, and large impact on their disability and productivity at work. By spending, this is one of the largest health categories in health, up there with diabetes and mental health at $140 billion in claims annually in the US alone. And we know for patients, conventional medicine really fails them. It's broken and delivers suboptimal outcomes, not giving the whole patient care that patients deserve and support with their lifestyle and day-to-day management of the disease. So our learning has been that a more comprehensive approach to care is best practice and delivers much improved patient outcomes, up to 50% better outcomes and faster, as well as saving costs. Up to 70% in a common condition at irritable bowel can be saved by moving from expensive prescription drugs to an approach that delivers integrative GI care, combining evidence-based dietary interventions and psychobehavioral interventions with therapists through a multidisciplinary approach. So our platform is an end-to-end platform that takes in patients with multiple GI conditions like celiac, inflammatory, Crohn's, and we triage patients into the right service with our multidisciplinary care team and into the right therapy, as well as self-management programs that they can use to see relief day to day, track and get education on the management of the condition. With that type of impact, we taking a consumer phased go-to-market approach, initially commercializing direct to patients with subscription models to get access to our platform. And then in time, we're working towards becoming a provider, a benefit for self-insured employee populations. And so far on that journey, we've achieved over 15,000 users on our first product that are getting significant relief on their symptoms and improvement in their mental health. And we've been able to prove that type of clinical impact in a randomized controlled trial with University of Pennsylvania, our main academic partner. We've also engaged in pilots with B2B payers. So we're working with an employer population in California, and we're also working with an international insurer as their digestive health partner. And we're seeing fantastic results with that type of covered population. So today our ask for you would be that we are looking for employer partners to deploy our solutions with member population staff. And then we're also working with health plans. We'd love to identify further health plan partners to run real world evidence study with their members. And then lastly, we are taking some strategic investment from angel investors if anyone is interested to join the journey as well. So in conclusion, we're both health. We're a leading a digital health company in the gastrointestinal space in an underserved large market for GI. We have the right solution that is science-based, comprehensive, and digitally scalable. And we have the right economics model, first growing in consumer, then activating self-insured employers and payers. We love your questions and thoughts and feedback. Thank you very much.
All right, Elena, thank you so much for getting us started with such a great presentation. You know, it's really great to see that this is a solution that has been proven and that you guys already have taken it to patients. So why don't we move on to the Q&A? You know, first, you know, since this is something that patients have already used, what is some of the feedback that you're getting from users? What are they saying about this platform and how it's changed their health?
Yeah, absolutely. An example I can give, a person in our current RCT, someone that has been struggling for many years with irritable bowel, could barely eat anything. She had every few weeks a flare up where she had fatigue, diarrhea, very large impact on her quality of life. And on our program, within a few weeks of cognitive behavioral therapy for her IBS with our app, she was able to eat almost everything. She started gaining weight, and she's much more, you know, hopeful about life. She used to have anxiety and depression, and now her mental health is in a much better state. And after many years, she's hopeful that she can manage her irritable bowel. And that type of impact we see across our user base that's already using the program.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, it's crazy to see how this one thing can impact your not physical health only, but also mental health. So how does a patient determine they need your service? Are they referred to by a physician, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we actually get patients directly. We do not depend on a clinician referral. We do see that happening organically in the market, where some doctors hear about us and direct people to us. But actually with our consumer health go-to-market, we have our distribution channels, our brand already strong in gut health. And we do, you know, content marketing, blogging. We partner with influencers in the space and doctors, and that's how people hear about us, you know, podcasts and so forth, as well as our social media presence. So at the moment, you know, anyone with gut dysfunction can come to us, and then they can be directed towards the right provider, whether that's a doctor, a dietitian, and then they receive the app that they can use to self-manage their condition.
Okay, available to everyone. That's awesome. And is there any coordination of care that involves their primary care physician? Is there integration into EMRs right now with your platform?
Yeah, so that is something that's on our roadmap to communicate with either primary care or specialty care providers and refer offline, as well as get referrals to our platform. At the moment, however, we are a digital health provider in ourselves, a virtual care provider. So we have our own EMR type system and our own kind of clinical team, so don't necessarily need referrals, but it's something we're going to work on in the future so that we can augment and complement someone's existing care, as opposed to completely replacing it. We would like to, you know, match the gap in care that patients currently have.
Okay. All right. We are just on time here to move on to the next one, but thanks again, Elena, for a great presentation, for getting us started on such a positive note. And we'll move on to the next presenter.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so up next, you will hear from Veronica Berry, founder and CEO of True Diary. True Diary provides culturally relevant, value-based care to Black and Brown maternal patients in underserved communities. Veronica's goal is to make sure that every woman has access to high-quality prenatal care, and she is working day and night to make sure that this happens because she knows what it's like to feel unsupported during pregnancy. Veronica, please come online, turn on your microphone and your video. We are excited to hear your story.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much. I really appreciated the program and all the mentors and investors with the Investor Swarm. It was just a great opportunity. So I wanted to first say that. Okay. All right. So my journey became relevant because when I became pregnant, I experienced extreme pregnancy complications to the point that I was bedridden for the last half of my pregnancy. And I knew that I wasn't physically or emotionally prepared to become a mom. When Jalen was delivered, the doctors told me that when he became of school age, he would develop learning disabilities. And that's exactly what happened. And how the teachers dealt with Jalen, they sat his desk out in the hallway. And I just remember saying to myself, I didn't want another mom to experience what I did, what I experienced. My name is Veronica Berry. I am founder and CEO of True Diary, and we provide culturally relevant, value-based care for Black and Brown moms in underserved communities. Now, in my case, I had a happy ending, but this is not true for many women. And every 12 hours, a woman dies due to pregnancy complications. But I'm excited to announce that we've already taken the first steps in bringing this solution to market by piloting with community healthcare system and serving over 250 women. So the problem is there are inadequate care options. There's a lack of access to quality prenatal care, gaps in critical information that will help women have a successful pregnancy, and poor engagement that put Black and Brown maternal patients at an increased risk for negative pregnancy outcomes. And as a result, it's a $26 billion market associated with complicated pregnancies. So these negative maternal outcomes can be prevented with a holistic care approach that takes into account the patient's physical, mental, social, and spiritual needs. So our platform, what it does, it offers patients the information and services that's critical to having a successful pregnancy. It streamlines the process for OBGYNs to promote coordinated care, and it builds trust and confidence between these patients and OBGYNs. So here's how it works. So patients are introduced to True Diary at the OBGYN visit. They create a profile, take a quick assessment, services are identified, a plan is executed, and True Diary keeps track of the patient's action items, makes sure that they receive reminders about appointment, and shares this information with the physician so they can intervene if needed. What really separates True Diary from their competitors is we're the only company that offers social determinants of health services as part of the maternal health journey. And we're the only company committed to reducing patient disparities and improving health outcomes for women of color. So far, our traction has been, we've piloted with community health cares. And as a result of that pilot, we saw an increase, 30% increase in patient engagement, and 15% increase in actual patient visits. We've also secured our first partnership with Open Hands of Atlanta to provide food insecure services for these patients for the state of Georgia. And we're finalizing a pilot with a regional payer scheduled for Q1 of 22. So our market opportunity is Georgia, which has the highest rate of maternal mortality in the United States, where 79 out of 159 counties are without obstetrics clinics. But we are concerned with the 54% of counties throughout the country that are in maternal health deserts, where 90% of our target market resides. So our revenue model has multiple revenue channels, beginning with the OBGYN offices that pay a one-time integration fee plus an annual licensing fee, and our social determinants of health service providers that pay a monthly subscription fee. So we are working on our Medicaid strategy because what we realize is that 60% of all pregnancies are funded by Medicaid, and we're hoping to roll that out within the next 6 months. So we're the team to bring this solution to market. I am the founder and CEO. I have over 15 years of sales and marketing experience to hospitals and pharmaceutical companies. My team has the technical expertise to build the platform, and our key advisors are OBGYNs that reside in rural and urban areas, specifically addressing health disparities and promoting health equity in these communities. So our ask, what we need help with is introductions to investors, our customers, payers, and reimbursement experts. What I know is if I would have had a tool like TrueDiary during my pregnancy, I would have really understood the importance that support tools have in helping women have positive outcomes with their pregnancy, and I would have known what questions to ask. I want to thank you, and please join us as we begin to transform healthcare journey for Black and Brown moms in underserved communities. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Veronica, for a great presentation. Every time I hear your pitch, I appreciate you telling us your personal story because it's so impactful. So why don't we move on to the Q&A? First, you mentioned that you have been able to show that for the OBGYN offices that you worked with, you increased patient engagement and you increased the number of patient visits, which is pretty amazing. What are the OBGYNs saying about how this impacts the care that they provide to their patients?
Oh, it impacts it greatly. One thing that OBGYNs have said is that they really only have 10 to 15 minutes in a visit. And what they realize is that non-medical items are directly tied to positive maternal outcomes. So they welcome it.
And, social determinants of health services, that's a bit different from what we're used to hearing, I think here at the G-Beta MedTech program. What services do you currently offer and plan to offer to make sure that, these patients get the care that they need?
So currently right now, again, we are working with Open Hands to bring about nutritional classes as well as fresh produce pickups and drop-offs to those patients. We also provide lactation and mental health therapy. And so we're looking at doing transportation as well as doula services in the future.
Okay, that's a lot. That's awesome. And so, you mentioned Georgia statistics. Are you planning to scale outside of Georgia? What does that plan look like?
Of course, Georgia, we're in Atlanta, Georgia, so that's in our backyard. But we also realize that over 50% of the counties in the United States are in maternal health deserts. And 90% of our target market lives in those areas. So we definitely are going to scale. And that's why we're working on a Medicaid strategy. And we hope to have that rolled out within the next 6 months.
Here's another question. Are there value-based care models or bundles for peripartum care?
Yes, there are. And the good news is what we are looking at, not only are we looking at the prenatal outcomes, we're also looking at postpartum as well on through family planning. So we're looking at the full scope of when mom finds out that she's pregnant on through when child is up to 5 years or school age.
Right. And last question before we close, is this an app or what does the platform actually look like?
So yes, it's a web-based application, and basically you can log on to our portal and create a profile, and you can start using the program.
Okay, well, glad that everyone will have easy access to it, Veronica. Well, we are just on time here to move on to the next presentation. So thanks again for sharing your story and for a great pitch. We're going to move on to the next presenter. So up next, the next entrepreneur that you will hear from is Wissam Sonbul, founder and CEO of Delve Health. Delve Health reduces clinical trial costs and accelerates drug development by bringing clinical trials to patient homes. Wissam is a successful serial entrepreneur, and this time he is determined to reduce the patient's burden by making it easy for any person to participate in a clinical trial. And he has already come a long way. Let's hear his story. Wissam, if you can please come online, turn on your microphone and video and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie, and thanks everybody for having us here. Hello, everyone. My name is Wissam Sombel, co-founder and CEO with Delve Health. So Delve Health is really kind of set up to really help accelerate drug development and help bring drugs to market faster. And we want to do this by bringing clinical trials to patients' homes. It all started in 2012. My mother was diagnosed with cancer. Clinical trial was her only option. As we got her into one, the process was complicated, very manual. She passed away 6 months later. And it's a story that you hear almost every day across the globe. And therefore, we set up Delve Health as a way to revolutionize the clinical trial process, make it faster, make it more cost effective. Delve Health as a team, this is us as a team with Bootstrap, the company. By the end of this year, we'll reach about $3 million in sales. We haven't raised any money yet. So in regards to the founding team, so myself, I have over 20 years of life science experience. Delve Health is actually my third startup in this marketplace. Then I have Tamer Sweden, CTO and co-founder. He comes with 20 years of infrastructure and data management team. Delve Health is also his second startup. And then Dave Alderson, VP of Business Development with over 25 years of sales and marketing in this marketplace, life sciences. So once again, right, we've been bootstrapped. On the left-hand side, these are some customers and partners that we've made that helped us kind of come a long way. We've doubled or tripled our revenue year over year. It's a huge problem, right? Over $2 billion in the marketplace that it takes to bring one drug to market. And so much of this is due to poor patient enrollment, keeping the patients in the trial long enough, and also inaccurate patient data, keeping in mind that 73% of patients in these trials are white. And as we talk about the barriers and the burden of these patients, right? Once we identify a patient into the clinical trial, 70% of these patients live at least 2 hours from the nearest clinical trial site. And 30% of these patients drop out of the clinical trials early. Depending on the size of your clinical trial, it could be up to $12 million in wasted fund due to these delays and dropouts of these patients. So we're set to bring clinical trials to patients' homes. As we bring clinical trials to patients' homes, we're able to bring more diverse patient populations and help identify and engage those patients and keep them in the trial longer, and therefore improve their data compliance throughout the clinical trial. It's a one single platform, right? For patients, doctors, and sponsors using web, mobile, SMS, and wearable technologies. As we walk through kind of the process of how do we even eliminate barriers through this burden, from the comfort of your home, we can help you as a patient review your electronic consent information. Once you sign that off, you can communicate with the doctors of this clinical trial to screen your information. And then as you randomize into the clinical trial, we identify artificial intelligence as a way to engage you as a patient, to send reminders, collect data from diaries, patient report outcomes, using your mobile phones as an item that you already have with you. And then also using wearables and connected devices like Fitbit and Apple Watch and Withings to collect passive information directly from you as a patient, as a way to also help doctors and sponsors to remotely monitor you while you're at home. We wanted to make sure we don't forget about the human touch. And this is why we have concierge service, where we have people that can literally pick up the phone, call as a patient, make sure that they're well, make sure that we're able to collect the data on time. And we also have partners that give us access to over 1 million nurses, where we can go to these patients' homes, collect blood samples, blood draws, and ensure that everything is going well, and we're able to keep the patients at the comfort of their home while they're still participating in that clinical trial. All in all, this will help improve our data quality, automate our data collection, and also bring an on-time, cost-effective completion to the clinical trial. We understand that there's a big competition, right? But we're the only ones we're focusing a lot on the patient engagement flow, improving that patient compliance. We have an artificial intelligence solution that understands the best ways to engage these patients and when we can engage with these patients. We're also offering disease-specific packages. For example, when we talk about Parkinson's disease or AFib, right, we have an end-to-end solution that can collect data directly from the patient using connected devices and our application to collect data through our mobile phones. It's a simple revenue model, right? Using integration, one-time upfront integration fee plus a monthly fee based on the number of modules and the number of patients enrolled into this clinical trial. The market opportunity is huge, right? There's well over 10,000 clinical trials every year, and that market grows by 12 to 15% year over year. It's a big opportunity market with over $2 billion addressable market. Once again, we're generating revenue on the left-hand side. Once again, our customers and partners that we've worked with that helped us kind of come a long way. Bootstrap, we haven't raised any money. This is actually our first accelerator that we've been part of. But me and my team are relentless to make this a successful story and really kind of make this a billion-dollar organization. We've had great validation using our solutions, where we've seen over 95% improved compliance by using our AI and mobile solutions. We've seen better patient experience by nearly 40% and better patient retention by nearly 32%. All in all, this helps really kind of reduce the clinical trial costs, by reducing the logistics of these patients and the hospital fees that happen throughout the process. The ask is, if you know of any company that is doing a clinical trial, pharma, medical device company, please connect them to us. Any organizations that are using medical grade wearables or connected devices, we would definitely love to talk to them. And once again, my mother's story is a story that's repeated every single day, and we want to be the company that makes a difference. Thank you.
All right. I love that. I hear your kids in the background.
Sorry.
When you hear mine, you hear a cry. So that's my kid as well in the background. Thanks, Sam, for a great presentation. It's always so impressive to see how much you have accomplished while bootstrapping. And you mentioned how you've been able to show statistics for your customers, increase patient engagement. So what are the patients saying about their experience in clinical trials?
Yeah. What's actually more amazing is that when we can keep the patient at home, they love it. The use of wearables and being able to collect this data passively, they really enjoy it. And what's even more impressive is as we can collect data remotely from these patients using these wearables and connected devices, we don't really have to bother them as much. They don't have to come into the hospital as much. We're able to, the doctors are able to quickly kind of respond in real time and engage with those patients in real time as well.
That's awesome. And so thinking about the wearables, what type of wearable devices are you able to integrate with? Are some of them proprietary? Are they off the shelf?
It's really a combination, right? So we do quite a bit with Withings, Apple Watch, Fitbits. So we do quite a bit with connected devices. We also work with medical grade devices as well. We have a fairly solid integrated platform that could connect across devices and all other solutions that complement our ask as well.
And then maybe this one last question, when you onboard a new client, a new customer, how easy is the onboarding process? How automated is everything? Do you have to custom the platform for different clinical trials? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's usually a 4 to 12 week process, depending on the complexity of the clinical trial. Every clinical trial is different. The platform is developed that we have to do configurations, and then we've got to go make sure that we go through testing of the various integrations that we work through. It's a fairly seamless process, but once again, depends on the complexity of the clinical trial that we're working with.
Awesome. All right, we are just on time here, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next presentation. But thanks again, and yes, congratulations with Sam on bootstrapping. We'll move on to the next presentation. So now I would like to introduce Wendy Sloan, who is the founder and CEO of BTech. BTech is disrupting the wound care space by miniaturizing light therapy technology into a tiny patch that promotes rapid tissue healing and strengthening. It's not every day that you meet a founder that decided to do a second PhD so that she could start a company. Wendy has a powerful story and is putting all of her effort into taking this technology to market. So Wendy, please come online, turn on your microphone and your camera, and feel free to take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Before I begin, I'd like to thank all of the sponsors, particularly Boston Scientific, for all of the great wraparound services that you have provided over these past several weeks. So Jackie introduced me. My name is Wendy Sloan. I'm located in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm the founder and CEO of BTech. BTech's technology promotes rapid wound healing by repairing tissue, strengthening the skin, and preventing infections. But I would like to start off by talking a little bit about my mom, who was a diabetic. I saw my mom develop diabetic foot ulcers, and even though the wounds were treated with conventional methods, the diabetic foot ulcers would reappear with more complications. And ultimately, I watched her lose both of her limbs within a 3-year span of time to the diabetic foot ulcers that were not properly treated by current technologies in the field. This led me to spend the past 3 years developing the Halcyon Smart Patch and pursuing my second PhD in analytical chemistry at Cleveland State University. And I'm not doing this alone. I have a strong team of advisors who provide a mix of integrative medicine, wound research, clinical trials, and business commercialization expertise. But let's get back to the main problem. Between 15 and 25% of all diabetics will develop a diabetic foot ulcer, and approximately 5 to 8% of these will require an amputation. This means that every day there are 196 people who suffer an amputation as a result of a diabetic foot ulcer. And for those who do not suffer an amputation, their diabetic foot ulcer will most likely reoccur within 1 year. Current technologies for treating diabetic foot ulcers know that they have to focus on preventing complications. However, this space is noisy and it's crowded, and the current technologies only heal the wounds by closing the surface layer and do not prevent infections. They are expensive and are not capable of repairing the damaged tissue or strengthening the skin. On the other hand, light therapies have been recognized for more than 10 years as non-invasive technologies that can be used to heal wounds from the inside out. When light hits our skin, it is transformed into heat and activates the natural wound healing processes in our bodies. In simple terms, heat will signal specific cell receptors to increase blood flow to an area that requires repair. Fresh blood flow into the wound area comes with fresh nutrients and oxygen, which in turn promote the wound healing process. But current light therapies have their own drawbacks. They're extremely bulky, expensive, require trained medical personnel, and multiple doctor visits. Here's our solution: the Halcyon Smart Patch. It can be placed anywhere on the body and has the same effect as current light therapies, only in a miniaturized form. So rather than using big lasers as a light source, this small patch uses nanotechnology to harness far infrared light and act as the light source. The patch then transforms this light into heat and subsequently activates the natural wound healing processes in our bodies. Overall, the patch strengthens the skin, prevents infections, and repairs the damaged tissue from the inside out. BTech is initially targeting 300,000 patients who have diabetic foot ulcers in the United States at an average cost of $160 per patch. This represents a $48 million serviceable addressable market. BTech will then expand and treat the 7 million patients suffering from chronic wounds, a 1.12 billion total addressable market. So far, we have developed a preliminary prototype and collected data from animal studies with rodents, and the results have shown that the device is capable of retaining and distributing heat and initiating the tissue healing in the wounds in these models. Looking ahead, BTech will follow the FDA Class 2 510(k) pathway to de-risk the technology and commercialize the Halcyon Smart Patch. Currently, we're asking for introductions to strategic collaborators with experience as executives, engineers, and those who are physicians and nurses in the wound healing space. As a scientist, an entrepreneur, and someone who watched my mother lose both of her legs due to diabetic foot therapies, I am committed to advancing the wound care space and hope that you can join me in taking this revolutionary technology to the next level.
All right, Wendy, thanks so much for your great presentation, again, for telling us the story of your mom. It truly shows why you're passionate about doing this. I guess first question, where are you in building this device? What stage are you at the moment?
So right now, what we have is just a preliminary prototype that allowed us to see that we could turn the device on in a specific broad range, and then we could get epithelialization. We're looking in our next iteration to get a patch that can go first in human. And that's why we'll do an additional animal study model as well.
Awesome. And so, I think one thing is trying to understand how the technology works. And, there are lots of people asking questions here. So first question, does the patch deliver light or does it deliver heat?
It actually delivers heat. So it takes the light, that's the far infrared, and far infrared is just the heat source. And we deliver it beneath the surface of the skin, sustain it there. There's no battery required. The patch is applied like an icy hot patch. The body's ambient body temperature activates it. It's a 30-day application that covers the remodeling window of the 21 days and gives you a little runway after that time.
Okay.
So to give you asked about the specifics of how it works, we turn on a vasodilator, nitric oxide, just like laser lights do.
Mhm.
And when we do that, then cell proliferation happens.
Okay, and guess another technical question, how many times do you anticipate that this patch will be able to be used?
It's a one-time use because it's a 30-day application in that one patch.
Okay, so it's disposable or is it rechargeable?
It's disposable. There's no
Okay.
recharging. Once it's activated, you use it.
And can you tell us a little bit more about your proprietary, what is proprietary here? Is the technology patented already? Where are you in that process?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We have filed for a preliminary patent, so we are in the process of finalizing that. And all of the components that form the patch are what is covered in the IP.
And Wendy, can you tell us a little bit about what you have seen with your early studies of using this patch?
Yeah, so great. What we've seen is that we're able to close the wound, and we have seen reepithelialization in the rodent models.
Okay. Any skin irritation from the patch that you anticipate or that you have seen?
No skin irritations that we have seen, and none that we anticipate. Everything is biodegradable and comes out in the renal function in the body.
And looking ahead a little bit, what does that FDA pathway look like for VTech?
So we anticipate this being a class 2 FDA pathway, 510K, and we are actually in this next iteration of the patch, we'll be engaging FDA so that we can work with them all through the process so that we can get our approval from them, as well as simultaneously working with the reimbursement to either see if we have to get our own code or if we can piggyback on a code that's already in the marketplace.
Okay. And, thinking about scaling, manufacturing this, how easy or difficult do you anticipate manufacturing to be? What issues do you think you'll have when you think about scaling the technology?
So that's a good question. So in addition to the preliminary studies on the prototype, we did do some initial pilot look at manufacturing and how quickly we could scale up. And so we realized that we could scale up really easily. And so it would be just a matter of aligning ourselves with a manufacturer who could take us on and produce it for the commercial aspect.
Awesome. Well, you are the queen of answering questions because you are on point, short answers, great answers as well. We are just on time right now, so we're going to move on to the next presentation. But Wendy, thanks for a great presentation. Thanks for answering all these questions. Please feel free to join Wendy in the breakout room once all these pitch presentations are done. You can ask all of your questions directly to Wendy and have probably a much better conversation directly with her. Same with Wissam and all of the other founders. You can talk to them right after the presentations are over.
Thank you.
Okay, so last but not least, you will hear from Nicole Bishop, founder and CEO of Quartolio. Quartolio optimizes discovery by automatically synthesizing and streaming research leads from the collective intelligence of R&D teams in real time. Nicole is a 20-year technology veteran. In other words, she is a computer science nerd, one of the best ones you will meet. And there is no doubt that she is the right person to build this futuristic platform. Nicole is committed to improving scientific outcomes and bring moonshots within reach, as she likes to say it. So Nicole, if you can please come online and turn on your microphone and camera, and feel free to take it away whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to thank all of the sponsors, Jackie and the rest of the team, for this amazing opportunity and wonderful program. Hi, I'm Nicole Bishop, founder and CEO of Quartolio, the Insight Cloud for R&D, and we're leading a revolution in knowledge discovery for scientific professionals around the world. When we think about the Human Genome Project, it brought together some of the world's most brilliant minds and high computing power to unlock the mysteries of DNA. The impact was massive. For every $1 spent, $141 was returned to the economy, an $800 billion ROI. But most importantly, there were scientific breakthroughs that led to companies like 23andMe, technologies like CRISPR, and advances in cancer treatments. So we know firsthand that when you pair the most powerful computing power with the collective intelligence of some of the world's most brilliant minds, we have better outcomes and better ROI on the more than $2 trillion that's spent on R&D around the world. But information overload is widening the knowledge gap for professionals in the R&D pipeline. That's because there's simply too much of it. And as a result, there's missed opportunities and a decrease of productivity on R&D teams and scientific teams by 6% each year. That's mainly because knowledge workers lack a platform to make sense of the collective intelligence across scientific documents. The R&D outputs, like reports and articles, largely sit in repositories and are not tapped into and looked at the collective intelligence therein to improve outcomes. That's where Quartolio comes in. We leverage over 100 million open access articles, clinical trials, patents, even filings for the SEC, for ag and biotech SPACs, so that you have a complete outlook of the entire R&D pipeline. We transform those documents into insights and then stream actionable next steps, prescriptive next steps, which we call leads, to R&D professionals, doctors, and nurses. As an example, we had a question when it came to COVID-19. If we focus Quartolio on prior coronavirus research, might we be able to surface drugs to treat COVID-19? The answer was yes. Quartolio accurately recommended over 200 drugs that are in or have been in clinical trials for COVID-19, and this work was recognized by the World Economic Forum in partnership with the World Health Organization. Our patents pending technology did that in just a few days. But when it comes to AI for R&D, largely this type of technology is inaccessible to the more than 10 million scientific professionals around the world. There's a narrow focus on drug discovery and costs in the millions. So we democratize access to this high precision insights so that whether you're a lab of 1 or 1,000, you can join the crowd with that collective intelligence and push science forward. How do we do it? Synthesis. So whether you have a document that's a PDF, an image, or PowerPoint, Quartolio extracts insights. Also, when it comes to documents in different language, Quartolio breaks down the barriers of language. So you can have a document that's in German, Spanish, a number of different Asian languages, and Quartolio finds those connections and then automatically understands areas of science. It understands that this is the coronavirus core, Alzheimer's disease, and oncology. So automatically forms what we call cores, scientific disciplines, and forms research leads in context. For instance, Quartolio knows what different diseases are and can recommend treatments for those diseases, as well as the gene that connects some of the world's most rarest diseases, automatically. In this case, let's take a look at a food scientist named Malcolm. Because Quartolio is not only multilingual, but multidisciplinary, Quartolio has the ability to find intersections across areas of science you may not even think to look across. In this case, Malcolm forms his workspace. He selects his core, which is his scientific discipline, the insight engine for his specific role in R&D, and then compute. This is where we were innovative so that we could relay the cost. When you purchase a computer, the more you pay, the better performance you expect. Similar with Quartolio, the more you pay, the more precision and speed of insight you get. So again, whether you're a lab of 1 or 1,000, you can have access to varying level of insights. In this case, Malcolm has 2 workspaces, one for Alzheimer's disease and one for ag. So very quickly, Malcolm can learn about Alzheimer's disease, but as he gets higher in his compute level, he wants to make a product to relate, when it comes to Alzheimer's disease. So very quickly, Quartolio recommends vitamins that are found to help prevent Alzheimer's disease and where he can find them in spinach. Quartolio is also sensitive to the different demographics and disparities when it comes to R&D. So in this case, Quartolio has let Malcolm know that when it comes to African Americans, there's a gene that's commonly found in African Americans that end up with Lyme disease. Again, another pathway for a possible treatment or product for Alzheimer's disease. So Quartolio not only works on the collective intelligence in documents, but the collective intelligence in teams. So all of us could join in the fight against Alzheimer's disease, sharing our work in all the ways that they intersect. Quartolio automatically finds that out. He can also go ahead and share his work with an organization or a funder that can help in commercializing his product. Network effects is what drives Quartolio. We invite individual scientific professionals onto the platform so that we can learn and better understand how we can push their research and work forward. So individuals like food scientists or 500 oncologists, we uniquely understand what's important to those individuals. And we tap into the unique community that is our research community. They rely on each other for everything, peer reviews, reproducing each other's work, all for free. So we're tapping into the passion of this research network, the employees that work at the employers that we later on target in our B2B side of this go-to-market strategy. Insights as a service is what we sell. So individual researcher like Malcolm pays an average of $56 per workspace per month. So in the case of Malcolm, he had 2 workspaces, so you can do the work there. An organization like a pharma company or a hospital may have deeper questions, so they pay a higher average monthly rate and can add individual employees to the platform. When it comes to a mass of data, the government often comes to mind. And when it comes to their science, believe it or not, they're producing massive amounts of documents that simply sit there. But until recently, all of these documents were disconnected. Quartolio ingested every single document from every single US agency. And in a unique way, we can let you know how the NIH connects to the FDA, NASA connects to the DOE, and so on. And we have amazing folks in our pipeline, inclusive of the DOE, Ecolab, and United Healthcare, part of the 10 pilot requests that we have thus far. Amazing partnerships. IBM was really impressed with what we've done with their natural language processing and has invited us into partners as part of their With Watson program. Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, also impressed with what we've done here at Quartolio, an MOU for partnership there as well. We have 4 patents pending. Our proprietary algorithms figure out the science and make recommendations for treatments, drugs, and new compounds. I know firsthand what it is when research reaches the full end of the pipeline and when it doesn't. When I was about 5 years old, I had a horrible earache for about a week. It took my parents the right angle of light to find out that there had been a tick living in my ear the entire week. To this day, I have a good sized hole from them working to dig that tick out. I had a Lyme disease test and it came back negative. The next thing the doctor did is look for a target shaped rash. But what he didn't know, but the research indicated, is that the more melanin in your skin, the less likely that the target shaped rash would indicate that there may be a need for additional testing. So I got to be 16 years old and ultimately had the misdiagnosis of MS. But in my 20s, I met a doctor who changed my life. Mina Wen is our head of AI, and her son was born with a rare disease. We're passionate about putting moonshots within reach of the over 100,000 R&D organizations around the world. And we'd like you to join us in our mission to revolutionize knowledge discovery for our most impactful knowledge workers. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Nicole. Every time I hear this presentation, I'm wowed by the infinite applications that this can have. So let's move on to the Q&A. I guess first, this technology has so many different applications, so many directions that you can take. What is your plan in terms of the first market that you're targeting, and why?
Yes, absolutely. So we see a lot of movement in regards to healthcare, and essentially broadly, I'd say life sciences would be a good way to put it, because there's a lot of intersections there. We have a number of products which are our cores that can serve those populations best.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about the pilot studies that are underway? You threw in some really awesome names, and would love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, so we've just finished up TechStars recently and have some really amazing pilots that we're working on and scheduling for Q1 and Q2, inclusive of Ecolab and United Healthcare. And so when it comes to Ecolab, there are a number of different products that they're looking to leverage, inclusive of our core that focuses on chemistry and material science. Same thing with United Healthcare. They actually see infinite uses of Cortolio, and we expect that other healthcare providers can do the same because we provide ICD intelligence. So Cortolio is actually can tell you right now how every diagnostic code is connected not only to each other, but to any treatment, enzyme, hormone, and so on.
So here's a question that's more about the technology. How does this deal with pulling information from sources that have a paywall?
Yes, absolutely. So I've not only been in tech for over 20 years, also worked in library science. So very familiar with all of the different sources and the ways to access them from the technical standpoint. So we are big proponents of open access and publicly available data, but we do have proprietary methods for addressing data behind paywalls. So if you have data that is behind a paywall or Nature, different journals, we actually can let you know all the ways in which that work connects to the rest of the world of research.
All right, Nicole, we are at time here. So I'm going to let people ask you questions during the networking sessions in your breakout room. But thanks again for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that is a wrap. So once again, before the event is over, I just want to congratulate all of the startups that participated in our very first GBeta MedTech program for Black founders. I want to thank the mentors, the investors, and the speakers that participated in our program. Also the sponsors and partners. Thanks to this community that we have built around GBeta MedTech. These founders have made some really great connections. They've gotten really great feedback, and we're excited to see how they move forward in taking their technologies to market. So thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. And I hope that you're continue to engage with us and continue to join us for future pitch nights. And for those of you that want to stick around, that want to meet some of our founders, maybe want to meet some of our sponsors, now what we're going to do is have a networking session. So if you have to leave, thank you for joining us. If you want to stick around, what we're going to do is we're going to open breakout rooms. You have the option to join a specific breakout room so that you can meet the founders. And then some of our sponsors also have breakout rooms so that you can meet the sponsors. We have additional rooms that are for just random networking. So feel free to join those additional rooms as well. But thanks everyone for joining us today. Hope to see you next time. Thanks everyone.